Again, I'm saying all this to build into the momentum aspect. These guys are just, I guess, having fun playing some basketball, but yo! That did not just happen. All right off the bat, we have something very interesting going on. These guys just silently trying to decide who's gonna take those perks. Now look, this is, I wouldn't say half the player base, but I think genuinely 30% of players play like this. You can just tell he doesn't have auto attack sprint on, which is not required, but players need to be in the habit of activating their auto attack sprint. Remember, momentum is everything, whether it's for looting, whether it's for hawking people down, whether it's for whatever. You have got to auto attack sprint, and he's not doing that. Now, for newer gamers out there, and take heed to this, if you guys, you know, are not remembering to push in your L3 or your shift or whatever the bind is on whatever device you're using, just turn on auto attack sprint. It's relatively easy. I use it just because it's one less thing I have to worry about. But again, I'm saying all this to build into the momentum aspect. These guys are just, I guess, having fun playing some basketball, but how can I sit here and genuinely give advice watching this shit? Yo! That did not just happen. Yeah. These poor bastards are out here playing basketball. He just absolutely got clapped. What are we in Chicago? And ladies and gentlemen, that is why you make sure you build momentum, or you'll end up like them. Holy shit. All right. That's got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in spectating randoms. Holy crap, dude. I mean, bro, that couldn't have been timed more perfectly for what they were doing, the angle he was looking at. That was just... All right, now I am genuinely curious to see how his Gulag goes. Remember, in the Gulag, same situation. Momentum. You don't want to stop moving, because when you stop, that allows the enemy to close his gap in his favor. If you have momentum, you have the ability to suppress the enemy, you have the ability to gather intel before the enemy can, you have the ability to possibly shock and awe the enemy. There's so many abilities you have. And I understand slowing it down and not creating attraction to yourself via your footsteps. However, again, with saying that, momentum is way more crucial than the element of surprise when it comes to footsteps. I've witnessed so many times people crouch walk in the Gulag, victims of mine, crouch walk in the Gulag, just sitting there and spawn mounted on a wall, and I'm able to literally just come up behind them and shoot them in the back. Remember, most of the time footsteps really don't work anyway, especially if you don't have some advanced audio tuning like a lot of us have. But even if everyone could hear your footsteps, it still isn't that crucial. It's easier to shoot a target that's sitting still or barely moving than it is to shoot a target that is using momentum to whip some movement out, just basic running, things like that. Bro, we are spectating this. This is something else. Your boy's playing basketball, and then he has the decency to take a shower afterwards. This Call of Duty players, they're just hitting a new level right now. He's about to take a shit. All right, let's talk about regain real quick. I'm gonna throw in some tips while we're doing this. Now look, regain situations, and we've talked about momentum. You want to get the money fast, but regain situations, there's a common misconception that whenever you're in a regain, if it's solo quad, solo duo, solo trios, and players are by themselves, they have a tendency to land somewhere safe, somewhere with a few buildings spread out, and because they think it's safe. But the problem with that is if you land somewhere that has the potential of being hot, where other players are there, it's risky, but the odds of getting money fast and efficiently is way higher than landing somewhere like this. Now, the risk is definitely up there, but let me ask you this. Would you rather land somewhere like on Mazrah City or just anywhere that's a good spot to loot and maybe die in the first few minutes, 2-3 minutes? But on the flip side, if it goes right, you get to buy your teammates back. That's what you have to weigh right there. Or do you want to land somewhere safe like this, waste 10 minutes looting just to die at the end anyway? I'm trying to explain this the best I can, but to put it in simple terms, guys, look, don't be afraid to land somewhere hot to do a nice regain, because you're gonna have to go to a buy station anyway. And you know damn well, buy stations are usually gonna be locked down. So at least put yourself in a position to get money fast and just go with your move. Buys also cost a lot more than $500. I didn't feel I ever needed to say that in these videos in 3.5 years of doing this. But it costs more than $500. And now you know. Leave a like on the video if you guys learned something new just now. All right. So we landed somewhere safe to do all that just to come over here and die. All right, now look, he clearly had an issue with jumping off a vehicle, ADSing and shooting the enemy. If you guys are having trouble multitasking, if you're on controller and you're looking for a better controller that'll help you out, and it's not just about having like faster latency, faster, you know, reaction time, better triggers, like that's a bonus, but I'm telling you right now, guys, the paddles are a game changer. Even if you guys are running claw, it allows you to ping while shooting, to jump while shooting, crouch while shooting. It's so many things. You never have to take your finger off the sticks because you're using these fingers back here. Guys, check out aim controllers right now. Click link in the description below. Massive discount going out right now if you use code SAVAGE. But don't forget to click link in the description below. Build it, customize it, put your logo on there if you're a creator, streamer, put your name on there. And the whole reason why I'm saying that is, again, you know, that might not have been his problem, but it just is a great segue, because one of the things I know a lot of players are struggling with is the ability to multitask. You know, a lot of players, especially newer controller players, they can move both sticks, but when it comes to having a pop a reload or even just YYing as you're running, it's kind of difficult for a lot of people. All right, but here we are spectating a new team, and they're holding this spot down. We've got munitions. We do have enough money for 2 UAVs. With the portable buy next to us, I don't see why we can't get it. The whole thing about playing any mode is just being prepared, especially if you're running quads and you have more money than you know what to do with. You have a buy next to you, guys. Why wait for someone to push you, to make you go back to the buy and get a UAV just to see if you're safe? You're already there. You're not doing anything. Gather your money and go for the buy. Now, I know a lot of people, when they play this game, teammates are focused on other things. But you guys have got to develop the leadership ability to tell your teammates, yo, drop me the money. I'm going to go buy some UEs or some plate boxes. I mean, I can notice right here, your boy doesn't have a plate box, no ammunitions or nothing. So guys, utilize the money. If the goal is to maybe hold on to some cash to get some buybacks, that's an okay decision. Not my favorite, because it's risky. If you're holding on money for buybacks and you're the one that dies, you're in a real rough spot. Not to mention, in my eyes, I think it's more important to not die in the first place than plan to see how good of a regain we're gonna get, especially with UAVs being so abundant now. All right, great great patience and utilization of the sniper rifle. One thing I recommend, especially if you have multiple snipers on your squad, is to ping the enemy and then shoot. And again, I know for controller players, it's harder to ping while shooting. That's why I recommend the paddles. Mouse and key, it's a lot easier. It's one of the benefits of mouse and key over controller is we have the ability to ping while we're doing whatever the hell we want to do because of the amount of buttons we have. All right, also, let's talk about this separation real quick. I'm not really a huge fan of how this team is holding different buildings. And this is really the reason why they're getting picked off one at a time. And then we're forced to jump off of our high ground, our decent position, to put ourselves in a rough spot to go get the res. Now, while yellow is rezzing, your boy, the one Richie, needs to be guarding them, needs to be watching like he is now. I would have rather them got there sooner, but I guess better late than never. Now we are being pushed. One of the things you guys want to try not to do is just stack together. There are multiple ways up here. All three of them are sat together and they all just went down together. There are multiple ways up there. So if you decide to camp a building, just hold the other entrances. Just have one guy watch one guy watch the other, maybe another guy watch outside the window. That is not what I recommend though. Never put yourself in a building if you're being pushed on multiple sides. You've got to hit the enemy as the aggressor. playing as a defensive player in this game puts you in a massive disadvantage. So right there, one of the options is one of us go to the rooftop. You might get shot off, they might push, they might not. They didn't push around that side, so we could have made it to the rooftop safely and provided some kind of cover from the top. We could have shot down on the enemies coming staircase. There's so many more options, but all three of those enemies, all three of the guys were spectating, should have been jumping and working the buildings and things like that. Again, just like the simple tip of just when you put yourself in a bathroom, lay prone and watch a door. It's cool in solos. It might work in solos, but in duos, trees, and quads, you can guarantee most of the time they're going to be stacked one too many people, and meaning 2, 3, or 4 of them are there, and they're just going to shit on you. That wasn't that bad of a situation, but again, you want to provide some element of separation with the enemy. The moment they started throwing stuns, that instantly let me know that they were pushing. That's why I said Richie needs to provide some cover. He didn't have to go to his teammates, but he should have played the top ground, played the window. The rooms in that building on the second floor, you have windows facing that direction, and he could have maybe got a knock or two. But instead, he just sat there watching his teammates get the res off. Then they sat there watching claymores run out the same door together, and they got clapped together. Big mistake. That's one of the biggest mistakes. That's why I went so in with that. But let's see what they can do as far as a regain. Now, they don't really need to go for their homie. This is when decision making is crucial. Excuse me. You've got to analyze the situation. Two things real quick. One, we're not floating high up to scan around us. We're just kind of diving in. When you scan, it allows you some hang time. So if enemies are here running around, they can leave the tents. If you just dive down relying that people don't sit in buildings, there's a massive chance you're going to get shot. But luckily they're here. Or luckily the enemies aren't here and we made it here safely. Again, we do have enough for the res. I don't know what the hell green is doing. Go for the res instantly. If you have the mindset that I want to get my loot before I go for the res, because if I go for the res, flare goes up in the air and then blah, just go for the res, man. It's simple. Another decision-making process right here is we can gather guns. One of our teammates has a gold gun, so he clearly bought his own. So at this point here, we all need at least a gun. I recommend an AR of some sort. Kid James needs to buy one, hopefully. All right, he buys his AR. Now you got to remember, Pink doesn't have any money, so you're gonna have to be dropping him a little bit. Oh shit. It's wild. There are teams that still want to do the helicopter strat so bad they'll like look for that special gas the entire game. I'm telling you, they need to give that vehicle a little bit of gas so I can just launch it and then chalk it instantly. All right, but look, we're here. We did shoot off a flare. We did attract any attention that could possibly be nearby, so we can either A, rotate the hell out of this spot, or B, at least look around. One thing we haven't witnessed King James done at all or do at all is scan until right now. But we need to be scanning. Also, this whole crouch thing, again, if there's a sniper looking at you and you're crouched by a wall, you're gonna get headshotted. There's no reason to crouch. There's none at all in that situation. Literally just keep maintaining momentum, run around, scan around, look around. Also pull up your mini map every now and then and ask yourself, where's the best location? All right, we're gonna shoot. No, we're just gonna watch him get killed. Okay. Got an enemy to your right, my guy, that's looking at you. That's a way more valuable kill than the guy we were looking at. That's wild. Look at that ridge right there too. That's what they should have been playing if they wanted to engage that fight in the first place. But the moment those guys were fighting at each other, they should have just instantly gotten to the action. The fact that they allowed the enemy to down the other team before they even shot a gun is just wild. Now, why is that wild? Forget about losing the kill. It's about the fact that the enemy that got the knock had a chance to reload and played up after the fight before we actually started shooting at them. Also, decisions on what target to shoot. The guy looking at you is the most important target. Oh, here we go with the heartbeat. Now, I know sometimes you can't see everyone looking at you, but that was as blatant as it comes. Got people your right hand side. That just comes down to no audio. Guy further back by the tents. We're in a rough spot. I don't think he'll make it out of here. But fighting tents in the first place is rough because there's not much cover, very little cover. This is all concealment. The exception of a few walls, like the half walls on the right hand side. I don't believe there's any other cover here. So let me lead you guys to this point. If your skill level is not up to par, if you don't feel confident in 1v2s, 3v4s, or even just simple 1v1s, avoid sitting by buy stations. You can be near them, you can go to them and leave, but I never want to recommend players of lower level to ever camp buys. You might get some lucky kills, but when it comes to end game and you have a lot of the guys who survived that were slaying out and they need to go for a buy, they're going to kill you. You're better off holding positioning with high ground, rooftops, things like that than you are sitting in a bunch of tents next to a buy station that's going to be attracting everyone. You got a guy out there, bro. I don't know if he has another gun or not. He might not. To be fair, I really wasn't looking. Now, normally, I would just risk it for the buy. But, again, that's just because different skill levels kind of just be a little bit more confident going in for that. I don't think it's worth it for him. At least we have a gun and some plates, which we should be plating up, by the way. There we go. All right, in game. So I want you guys to notice how he had the high ground and he came back down here. Again, I think he's going for the buy, but he did work himself into a rough spot. Also, that right there, the moment the enemy shot hit that flare up to buy his teammate, you have to close the gap. Because if that dude's teammate is scanning, which he should do, going back to a few tips ago, he's gonna spot you prone crawling on the railroad tracks. Thankfully, he just dove in like MacGyver as well. I don't know what his plan is. He's got 10 seconds to make a move, and these guys are just buying and buying and buying. Instead of a 1v1 now, we're about to face a 1v3. Making his job a lot harder. Now what? Great position, homie. If they don't see him doing, this just shows you lack of observation from everyone else. At least he saw him. But again, making decisions quickly. Go for the buy or not go for the buy. If he would have stayed in that spot on the hill, he'd probably be in a little bit better situation. He's still solo. But if your decision is to go for the buy, go with your move. I feel like he had it locked into his head, but he never had the ability to throw the audible. He stayed committed to the plan, but that commitment got his ass killed because, again, he hesitated. Commitment's awesome, but in this game here, you also, again, have to have momentum. That just comes down to aim, not really anything to teach there. I haven't made an aim video in a while. I might have to make another aiming video.
Don't worry, I got you.
And look at these guys right now. Now they're all fighting inside the gas. So many teams are so afraid to push enemies who have the high ground. The enemy team have the best position, no doubt about it. But you're gonna die almost regardless. At least go out with a fight. Go out with a smart fight. They should have just challenged that enemy early on, before the gas started rotating in. That way they didn't have to fight the enemies and the gas. But instead they stayed there, wasn't paying attention to the clock. The timer expired. Gas started coming in. And I mean, the rest is history. You really didn't have an option to fight them. It's kind of forced to sprint at them. It is a 2v3 right now. The enemies have the chopper. This is not looking good for this team. Not in the slightest. Now, the good thing about this chopper is it's hella slow. So if the circle does divert behind it and it rotates quickly, they might not have a chance to actually turn that beast around. But this is always going to be probably one of the most garbage ways to win the game. But at the same time, get it how you live. And they got an RPG. All right, we're out of plates. He looks like he's landing this thing. We have drill charges we could utilize. Save your ammo, because when they jump out, you're gonna need it, homie. There we go. There we go. All right, getting a little bit more logical with it. And this is where they just 3-stack your homie, and the rest is history. Yo! Your boy just turned up at the end, 1v3ing those guys. We should have been spectating him. Holy shit!